Thanks for tuning in. You're watching The Big Story with me, Avni Raja. Let's start with a quick look at the headlines. Trouble far from over for Delhi self-styled godman Virendra Dixit. Fresh raids conducted at his Karwal ashram. Godman accused of running a sex racket in the ashram. Bars and pubs across Maharashtra write to the state government, seek license to keep their business running 24/7. But critics raise a red flag, say law and order could be a problem. Water dispute between Karnataka and Goa leaves farmers distressed. Hundreds gather to protest outside BJP office, accuse former Chief Minister Yediyurappa of failing to deliver on promises. Ambulance used to ferry liquor cartons at state-run hospital in Meerut. Principal of the medical college orders departmental probe. Sons beat up a man in broad daylight. Neta father comes to their rescue. Defending their Gundagadri, Rajasthan minister says what else could they have done? Superstar Rajnikant begins 6-day-long meet with a bang. I'm not new to politics, says Talaivar as he sets the stage for a December 31st announcement. All right, let's get to the big story that we are tracking here. In the past, we've seen how men who dub themselves as godmen have duped people in the name of faith. Be it Swami Premananda, Asharam Bapu, Falahari Maharaj, Gurmeet Singh. All these men thought they were indomitable up until the law actually caught up with them. From financial fraud to rape and even outright murder, these self-appointed leaders of the society stop at nothing. Now, the latest addition to these names is Baba Virendra Dixit. The man on your screen stands exposed. After several raids were conducted at his Delhi ashram on the directions of the High Court, more than 40 minors were rescued after they were found in inhuman conditions. Women were caged, tortured, and even sexually assaulted for years together. In fact, fresh raids have also been conducted today by the Delhi police and the DCW. Let's go across to Milan, who's joining us for more details on this. Milan, before we get into the background of this whole thing, first up, any update as to where the self-styled godman really is?
Well, currently there's no update on where Virendra Dixit is hiding because the Delhi High Court has told CBI to find this man, arrest him and bring him to court on 4th of January. This was before the case was with the Delhi police who has not handled it well. In fact, with allegations on them when girls had gone to complain from this particular ashram of Adhyatmik Vishwavidyalaya in Rohini, the DCP there and his team did not pay heed to the complaints of sexual molestation, rape, as well as one suicide attempt that happened in the ashram. So clearly, the case now with CBI that has to find and arrest this self-styled godman, Virendra Dixit, who is currently on the run from the law.
Right. Milan, now just going back, rewinding a little bit, help us understand how long has all of this been going on and how did all of this now come to light?
Well, this started a few weeks ago when an NGO filed a PIL, public interest litigation, in the Delhi High Court saying that women kept in the Adhyatmik Vishwavidyalaya were kept in the most inhuman way possible. They were kept in animal-like conditions there. There were women and minor girls who were unlawfully and unwillfully confined inside this particular institution that they called a spirituality university. and it is on the directions of the Delhi High Court there with an appointed team of advocates as well as the Delhi Commissioner of Women Chief Swati Maliwal, who was asked to go and conduct raids and check inside these ashrams. So there, when the team reached the spot and conducted raids, they found objectionable material such as syringes, used syringes, medicines and other kind of things that were used to drug these women. Most of them were minor girls as well, and this is after they saw that the entire spiritual university was like a fortress that was locked from all sides. Even there was no one was allowed to step out or step inside this particular spirituality university is so called, and there were lots of gates that were manned by iron bars. The entire place was locked down. And women over there felt that, some of them came out and said that they had been raped and tortured and molested by these disciples of Baba's, the Virendra Dixit. That is nowhere to be seen. Many of these women who are living there thinking that they have gained some knowledge of spirituality have never even met this particular Baba who is on the run. So from then on, there have been several raids across Delhi NCR. In fact, even in Farrukhabad, in UP, in Rajasthan, in other states as well. But currently, it's been more than a week since the DCW chief, along with the team, has been conducting raids. Around 48 minor girls had been rescued from various ashrams. Their medical tests were done. They have been medically examined to be minors, and they were taken to the Child Welfare Committee where they will be kept, and more raids will be done on this regard to crack down on this alleged the ashrams that the Baba is running. It's actually a high level of sex racketing that is happening here.
All right, Milan, stay with us. We'll also talk about going forward, what the investigation, what the plan is. But before that, let's listen into what Swati Maliwal had to say, who's the chief of the DCW, as well as what the rape victim had to say.
बाबा वीरेंद्र देव दीक्षित के आश्रम में कल जांच की थी और हमने यहाँ पाया था कि 6 महिलाएं हैं और इनमें से काफ़ी बच्चियां हमें माइनर लग रही थी, नाबालिग लग रही थी। तो आज करावल नगर के जो आश्रम में हम लोगों ने आकर जो अभी इंस्पेक्शन किया है, 2 नाबालिग लड़कियों को हम लोगों ने यहाँ से बाहर निकाला है। अब इनकी काउंसलिंग होगी और ये जाँच करने की कोशिश की जाएगी कि ये लड़कियों की असल उम्र क्या है, इनके माँ बाप कहाँ हैं, कौन है, किस परिस्थिति में उन्होंने अपनी बेटियों को समर्पण कराया इस बाबा को, क्योंकि इन लोगों की ये जो बच्चियां हैं इनके एफिडेविट साइन हो रखे हैं कि ये अपनी ज़िंदगी अब बाबा के नाम करती हैं। तो ये कौन से पेरेंट्स हैं उनको भी बुलाया जाएगा, एक पूरी इंक्वायरी होगी।
वहाँ पर मेरे साथ ये रेप का केस हुआ है, एक बार नहीं कई बार हुआ है। बाबा किसी मतलब अलग अलग लड़कियां अलग होती थी, लड़के अलग होते थे, माताएं अलग होते थे। तो जो साथ में इनकी ही बहनें होती थी उनके थ्रू बुलाती थी माताएं, और फिर माताएं बाबा के रूम पे ले जाती थी और वहाँ पर वो रेप करता था। और एक के बाद एक ऐसे मतलब 7-8 बार ये करता रहता था, रेगुलर चलता था, ये डेली का ही काम था उसका। जिसकी आदत है ऐसे औरतों के बीच में रहना और 7-8 बार डेली काम करना, मतलब रेप करना लड़कियों का, अगर उसको 10 दिन भी बिना लड़की बिना औरत से कांटेक्ट किए बिना छोड़ दिया जाए ना, आपको पता चल जाएगा वो भगवान का रूप है या नहीं है। हालत अभी खराब हो जाएगी उस बंदे की। क्यों उसको भगवान बना के बैठी हो आप औरतें?
We're being joined on the phone line by Flavia Agnes, who's an advocate and activist. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us on the show. Time and again, we've seen these self-proclaimed godmen committing heinous crimes again and again. And this time, it's several counts of rape is being accused. This person has been accused of. How is it that they tend to get away with this for years together?
I think the problem is the place we give to religion and spiritual leaders. And we have a blind faith that they can do no harm, and we entrust our little daughters in their care. And I think this is extremely dangerous. But when religion enjoys such a high level of acceptability in a society, and so any person in the garb of being a spiritual leader or religious leader gets the faith of the people, gets the faith of the women, and the women are ready to entrust their children despite so much evidence against it, that this kind of blind faith has caused immense damage for young children and has caused rape, sexual abuse, all kinds of things. But people just don't learn, and people continue to have this blind faith in all these Babas, whether it's this Baba Rahim, Baba Ramdev. I mean, we're getting cases after cases, and yet general society is not ready to believe about it.
And in this particular case, we've also learned that the DCW, in fact, has found out that they made their followers sign an affidavit that states, asking them to take a vow that the spiritual university will not be blamed in case of any untoward incident. Now, something like this ideally should set the, it should be a red flag for anyone. But in this case, it's just the blind faith that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can anybody sign such an affidavit? It's not that affidavit will have any value or protect the people against the harm that they've caused to young children. But as you rightly said, how can a parent sign such a document? How can they have this kind of faith to entrust their minors into their care when you read stories everywhere? But you see, every street corner, one mandir can come up. In my area, just like a small temple, it becomes a big temple. Then becomes a very big mandir, then the whole area goes there, everybody believes in that. I mean, this is how this gives a rise to such kind of events happening, because the power that they enjoy is without any holds barred. There is no suspicion, there is no monitoring, there's no finding out who this Baba, what is happening inside. It's just blind faith you give your children, and then after years you find out they have been abused.
Right.
I think the government must do something to stop this.
Right. Ma'am, also, there are questions that are being raised as to possible involvement of the police. But in your opinion, such kind of institutions, they continue going on for so long with crimes being committed within the premises, with nobody knowing what's going on there. Could that actually happen without anybody being aware of what's happening inside, especially the authorities in charge?
I'm sure the police are aware of what's happening. I'm sure the complaints have come in the past which have been tortured and not allowed to file, and the police have turned a blind eye to this. And usually there is, when so much money changes hands, when so much activity gets there, it's not that police do not know and they will not investigate. It is the police's own belief in these Babas and what's going on in there. It is justified in the name of religion. So they don't want to act, and maybe they also get a cut in this, who knows. In many of these such rackets going on, the police know very well what's going on, and the police also take a cut in whatever is earned by this institution.
And of course, the other angle as well to look at, and which needs to be addressed very seriously, is the fact that people flock to these so-called Babas, and they develop a massive fan following, and they completely turn a blind eye even if there is crime happening under their very noses. In fact, end up being accomplices to it. So that is also something that we need to really question as to why is it that they develop this kind of a following.
Because there's absolutely no monitoring mechanism. Like we have child welfare committees, etc. But they will also have the same blind faith, and they will think no harm is caused to children in these institutions. It should be mandatory that for child welfare officers to go and meet children away from the authorities and find out from them what is happening. It is being done in children's homes, tribal homes, etc. It is supposed to be done, not actually happening. But so many homes where children were sexually abused in Maharashtra, and there were also rape and murders of girls. Then there was some welfare committee that visited them, court-appointed committee visited them. Now, something like this should be there for where all these mutts and religious places and the swamis are acting, and children are entrusted to their care. If the parents do not worry about the safety of their children, it is the duty of the state to worry about the children, because the state ultimately is the guardian of all minors. The High Court is the guardian of all minors in their state. So, exercising that authority, they can definitely have a checklist every year what's happening inside these institutions. You're right, because of the enormous kind of faith that people around depose on them, even if the minor speaks, nobody is ready to believe that minor. They just think that this child is imagining things and such a thing never happened, and it is very easy to silence that little child, even when the child speaks out with a lot of courage. Unless there are 10, 20 children speaking out, nobody takes them seriously. So there has to be mechanisms in place. We've had enough of these kind of abuse, centers of abuse that are there and allowed to flourish with the benevolence of the government. And some of this has to stop.
Right. All right. Thanks very much, Flavia Agnes, for joining us with your perspective on this. I'm also being joined by Pramila Nisargi, who's an activist on the phone line. Thanks very much for joining us. You know, what really needs to be done to sort of crack down heavily on these? Because we've been seeing time and again how these self-styled godmen commit these heinous crimes and they get away with it for years together.
Indiscriminately licenses are given, permissions are given to run these institutions. Once the institutions are given license, there is nothing like monitoring. So what I feel is, to curb all these illegal activities, there should be a higher monitoring authority in the entire state, where they must keep an eye on all these institutions, and if they come across such incidents, they must take action immediately. But as of today, we don't have a law like that. Whether it's a school or whether it's an institution or whether it's an organization or whether it's an ashram, people are given liberty. So they take law into their own hands. They bring ladies, innocent ladies, they make them victims. And only once it comes to knowledge of the public, they can be rescued. Otherwise, we do not know how many ladies have suffered like this and how many ladies are suffering even as on today because no action is taken and the institutions are allowed to run. My own feeling is, now that these things have come to light, Parliament must take note of it. They respect the government, whether it's the state government or the central government. They must take action and make appropriate law to curb all these activities, and the involved, however high they may be, whatever their connections to the political organization, action must be taken against them, and they should be
right.
Action must be taken in such a way that they should not come out of bail.
Right.
That must be it, because in some under some sections, the burden is on the accused. Similarly, here also the burden must be placed on them, not on the prosecution to prove, because they always escape. That's why in such incidents, the burden of proof must be on the accused, and in such a way that so that these people can be sent to jail.
All right. We've also got Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Singh, thank you for joining us. In your opinion, in your view, can such kind of institutions that we've been seeing, whether it's Gurmeet Singh, whether it's this particular case, can they be run without the knowledge of authorities for such extended periods of crime, of such extended periods of time committing such heinous crimes?
No, with a capital N. It is never without the complicity of the local police, the local SHO, and the local officers. You and I, if we were to spend 50,000 rupees, we would be questioned and put under observation by the income tax. Here, these Babas spend crores and are violating the rules of Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1953, Magic Remedies Act, with absolute impunity, and nobody seems to be questioning them. The time has come that every ashram needs to be put under a scanner, their activities monitored, and if there are adolescents and juveniles in their ashrams, they should be subjected to the same child labor laws as we would subject any factory or any industry in such misdemeanors. These Babas, they use narcotics, they use psychotropic substances, and therefore I, in my own experience, have raided many ashrams, and the incriminating material, drugs, psychotropic substances, pornographic material, and liquor and other objectionable items, I think every ashram needs to be subjected. Every thana, police station, has a register known as Registered Badmashan and History Sheeters Register. They should, and many of the Babas have history sheeters in their ashram. They should be put under surveillance and their activities monitored and kept on record. The police have it in them. There are laws. All these Babas indulge in gang activities. The Gangsters Act of Uttar Pradesh and other such acts, they can be used, and these laws can be invoked to give them a befitting and a deterrent punishment to all of them. What is required is the willpower. When the powers get deep, then the top politicians are currying favor with them. The lower and the junior functionaries just keep respectable distance from them, for fear that if the netas are going there, if the top officers are going there, lesser mortals like SOs and deputy SPs, how can they go and touch them even with a barge pole?
Absolutely, Mr. Singh. So, in your opinion, what really needs to be done? Because obviously, there's not enough action that's being taken on the local police who are perhaps accomplice to situations like this. There's not enough being done to punish them in order to stop others from doing so.
All the three, the most notorious Babas are India's most wanted: Asaram, Ram Rahim, and Dixit. Don't you think that the local SO should have been placed into suspension for allowing this to happen right underneath their nose, allowing the grass to grow underneath their feet? Rome was not built in a day. Similarly, these empires of fraud and sin were not created overnight. They were erected underneath the nose and the complicity of the local staff, and therefore suitable departmental action and deterrent action must be taken against those police officers and the income tax officers who allowed these empires to exist, flourish, and grow.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Singh, for joining us with your perspective. Let's also go across to Chandra Srinivasan, who's calling us from Mumbai. Thanks very much for calling in. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
I'm a social worker and activities from Bombay.
Right.
Okay, I'm associated with many NGOs. In this rape, Baba doing everything. This was not the first time in India. At the age of 75, I'm telling you, I have come across several brothers, right from Nityananda, Ram Rahim, so on, which is going in Bombay and India, everywhere. Do you think the police and the politicians are not aware of it? They are aware of it. The money power and muscle powers make them not to take an action. And that is the reason this is increasing and increasing in 2017. I think every alternate days I am seeing something or the other in your channel. So this shows it is going on. And when the country is ruled by Babas and Sadhus, do you think you are going to get justice for the Sadhus and Ashram? Definitely not. So nationally, the state commission, national commissions, all the NGOs who are working the activities, the police department, the crime of the police department should come together and do something or the other. Otherwise, it will go on increasing. I will put you one example of it. Especially, I am very keen. Vikram Singh was rightly telling nobody should get bail.
Absolutely.
Because the man, I'll tell you an example where I'm handling that case. A man got a bail from Delhi. He came down to Bombay. He did several crimes because a mirror also showed that case. That case is handled by me. Why should a man should be given a part? Money power and muscle power make them to show the case in the court or in the police custody. Something or the other make the man to come out. He leaves Delhi and come down to Bombay. From Bombay, if he get bail, he go from Bombay to Chennai. From Chennai, he get that man will go on crime and is absconding, and police will not notice.
Absolutely. Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling us. Extremely valid points that you're raising there. In fact, let's go across to Milan, who's still with us. Milan, if you can very quickly now tell us as to going forward, what is the plan to nab this self-styled godman? How many teams are really in place, and what are the clues that they have where he could perhaps be?
Well, from what we've spoken to people on the ground and those who are living in these spirituality universities out of their own will, they have never seen Virendra Dixit in the last 8 to 10 years. So this is going to be a tough one for the CBI, as currently the Delhi police is handing over the case to the CBI, who will then officially and formally start their own investigation. At this point, the CBI sources have not revealed much except for the fact that they will be working towards arresting this man, Virendra Dixit, and will also be finding out more on January 4th when it's the next date of hearing in the Delhi High Court as to what is the Delhi police doing.
All right. Thanks, Milan, for getting us all those details. Now, despite several FIRs filed against the Baba, testimonies of the victims narrating the atrocities, the man is yet to be arrested. Now, a lot of questions have also been raised about the Delhi police in this case. Let's also go across to Yogita Bhayana, who's joining us on the phone line. Yogita, thanks for joining in. Like I was saying, despite several FIRs, the man is yet to be arrested, and also a lot of questions being raised about the Delhi police in this case as well.
There is no denial that Delhi police has to be, suspected for, because if you see the whole story, I have met the neighbors and I have met the neighborhood also, and some survivors also, some victims. And today also they were telling me that SHO is threatening them. And definitely they were some local volunteers also. They were trying to kind of file this complaint since so many months, and they were always sent back and with a lot of threatening. So you can always imagine the role of police cannot be denied. The fishy role of police, I would rather say. So I mean, it's quite evident and quite open. One doesn't have to kind of apply the mind also. So, I mean, this definitely needs for some higher authorities to intervene, maybe Home Ministry or some higher authorities, the Ministry, Women and Child also should intervene, or National Commission for Women, because here it is very evidently some mistakes have been made, and rather I would say cover-ups have been made. So I'm very much sure about the role of police here. Very evident. Very, very open.
All right. Thanks, Yogita, for joining us with your perspective on this. On that note, that's a wrap on this edition of The Big Story. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned tomorrow now.